Just thank you for starting this. It seems like 100 years ago when, quite frankly, I didn't even know what Zoom was. They were talking about Zoom, and I jumped on one time to your meeting, and I've always said it reminded me of dropping acid and watching the Brady Bunch. I mean, there's a lot of boxes and seeing all these people, and it was a thrill because everything was closed down and everything's open again, and here we are. So to all the trusted servants and to you, my friend, and God, so many wonderful speakers. Here we are, 6 years later, and I'm honored. I'm flattered. I'm thrilled. You gave me a ring and said, "Can you participate?" And I want to get out of the way to listen to Ralph. To be honest with you, he's one of my faves. But thank you so much. This is a thrill, and Miss Olis, always good to see you and the rest of the crew out here. So June 23rd, 1988 is when God separated me from alcohol. I'm very grateful for this gift of sobriety. I've said this from a million podiums. The older I'm getting, the longer I stay sober. My point of view on life, on many things, has changed. And what I thought was true, I've discovered some new truths along the way. And it seems to be the more God allows me in His way, in His time to awaken, and the freer I get from me, these new aha moments I get. And what I thought perhaps was important a year ago, quite frankly, isn't that important. There's new things to focus on, and so I'm very grateful for that. I've learned through many of my lessons, usually by making mistakes, that the freedom I seek is from me and not for me anymore. And my behavior, quite frankly, is a direct reflection on the value I put on my recovery in God. My behavior, not when I'm with you. My behavior when I'm alone. My behavior when I'm in my car. My behavior when I'm walking into my home group, which is No Problems, Just Solutions on Wednesday night. What does that look like? What you get here tonight, you should see me when I'm alone. It should be the same guy. When I'm in the supermarket, it ought to be the same guy. And for me, AA was never a performance, but really a reflection of what I've been doing all this time. So it's been a great journey since 1988. A lot of challenges, a lot of victories, a lot of setbacks, a lot of chopping wood and carrying water. But this fellowship, even today with almost 38 years, is still a Band-Aid on an open wound on many occasions when I walk into a meeting. I just feel safe. Everything makes sense. It's right when I walk into a meeting. And it's the sound. My home group starts at 7:30. We're there at 6. And it's just the soul music you hear of us in a meeting. It's a balm when we're not doing okay and we get to celebrate in the good times. It has been an 11 step for the longest time, and I would feel awkward by just going past that. From my very first sponsor in Brooklyn to probably the greatest teacher I've ever had, a guy from Texas, and another sponsor I had, Mark. These guys were 10 and 11 guys, and they really disciplined me, helped me get disciplined to the spiritual life. And I have found discipline cost me not much. It weighs an ounce. The regrets of not doing it weigh a ton. And they got me involved with prayer and meditation right from the get-go, and how to wake up and experience this power, have oneness with this power as I navigate through the day. And there have been times, I got to tell you, when our book says when agitated or doubtful, I've been way past agitated and way past doubtful. And the only thing I could possibly do was turn in order to go back out again and find a place of refuge and just get on bended knees and not even telling God what I think I need, but what He needs from me. Experiencing His power, His strength and direction when I had none. And over and over and over again, this mighty God, this God full of grace, grace that I never earned because I'm not that good, but He's that great, would give me direction, would give me power, would give me strength. And I have found in my most weakest moments, I find the bulk of God's strength. And when I find myself in the dark, I get to see God's light. And I've gotten to a point, it's years now, of having dependence upon this power called God and the instructions in the big book. I used to be an alcoholic who worshiped the big book, and I have no regrets about it. If you misquoted the book, you and I were going to have a little conversation when the meeting was over in the corner by the coffee pot. How dare you? And that's, thank God, has passed me by. I don't have regrets about that. It got me disciplined to paying attention. You know, very often I hear folks saying, I can't hear God. And I say, well, you're not listening. You're listening to what the mind tells you. And it's the greatest predator. It's the thing that gets in the way of me and God. It's a thing that gets in the way of discipline and reliance upon God and listening for that voice. In fact, quite frankly, suffering comes from the acceptance of a self God never created. My mind wants to live outside of God, if it could. And what it does, it creates a whole narrative to go along whatever it's telling me. And it has depth and weight, seems really real. Plus they're my thoughts, it must be true, and that gives it power. And what I look to do in that place is get some sort of serenity, some sort of okayness. And I can't do it. And it drives me deep into the rabbit hole because after all these years, my mind still only permits me to see as a small, insignificant person who's going to lose and not the great power called God who fears nothing. The mind is always the obstacle. So my 11th step has taken on new meaning over the years. And has grown to some degree. Hopefully I've gone along with it and grown. But it's so important for me on awakening to begin this. I'm a 5 a.m. Wake up guy, and that doesn't mean I'm more or less spiritual. I get old, so you wake up early. I'm getting like my dad the older I'm getting. Next I'll be getting up at 3 o'clock and become grumpy. Watch what happens. But 5 a.m. I'm up, and I was taught this a long time ago, and now I do it because I love the effect produced by all of it, is my eyes open and I make contact with my God before I take over. And I thank him for another day. I thank him for waking me up. And quite frankly, when I retire at night, one of my prayers is, Father, if it be your will that I awake tomorrow morning, please let me carry the vision of your will into my activities, because there's no guarantee I'm waking up tomorrow, but I make that contact with my God. And so in bed, eyes are open, I make contact with God, and I come into this room. And behind me, I have my little altar and a lot of things that represent my religion and some AA stuff. And I begin on bended knee in the morning. And there's some prayers I love working with, a 3rd step and 7th step prayer, you know, a serenity prayer. And what I've come to find out, I used to think that if I pray hard enough and meditate enough and get enough sage and enough candles and enough chimes and enough gongs and enough music, I will convince God to see it my way and I will be really spiritual. And I got glued to that stuff. And, you know, the truth is true until we discover a new truth. And I found out I can't command God to do anything, but I get into the batter's box and wait for him to direct me. And I'm open enough to listen to it. All the prayers I say in the morning are quite frankly just centering prayers for me. It keeps me away from me and this predator called the mind, which is full of programming and conditioning and social media and news and the scuttlebutt you hear even in our sacred rooms of AA. And they create this vision, this thought life that I'm supposed to follow, and none of it is true. It seems to be the most simplest things of how God wants me to operate. I've said it a million times. If Mary and I are not traveling, sometimes on a Saturday night, we're home, Marion's making dinner, and I'm folding laundry, and we're about to go watch a movie, and it's a great Saturday night. A roof is over my head. We're both healthy. We're both sober. We're both in love, and this is pretty cool. It's a long way from living in an abandoned building, panhandling on the street, and not bathing and not eating. So I'm very grateful. And what I've learned, what I've come to experience, it seems to be the more immersed I am with God, with all of life's challenges, I walk away with an attitude of gratitude about a lot of things. Some of my work nowadays is praying for a lot of acceptance of others and a lot of forgiveness of others, the world out there, family members, because I can't afford, and as sometimes it's heavy lifting, I cannot afford to have that kind of weight on my back of harboring negative stuff against people. It's a killer, and I can hear myself. I can hear the thinking, and it's coupled with a lot of uncomfortability. So it's back on bended knee and giving to others. You know, something came to me in meditation not too long ago, and I'll share it with you. My job is to admire and not envy, to support and not take apart, to follow and not imitate, to lead and not manipulate, to praise and not flatter. That's my job. That's what God hired me for. And I get to do it not only in the sacred rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous, but in all my affairs. Yeah. My alcoholism doesn't come in a bottle of whiskey. So here I am sober a number of years, and how am I doing? I don't want to grade my own report card and tell you I did good. That's useless. What I want to do is have you ask Marion how I'm doing, or the people I work with and ask them, how am I doing? Or people who see me, my sponsees, and ask them how I'm doing. You know, you ask an alcoholic, how you doing? I'm great. I'm wonderful. I'm Moses. 20 minutes ago, we were Rambo, but you don't need to know that. So it's really about how others see, how am I doing? That's my report card. What I get to do is work with a lot of information that kind of feeds my soul. Most of the folks I listen to nowadays, I have a few favorites in AA. Ralph's one of them, by the way. He speaks, I hear music. There's a handful of people I listen to in AA. Most of them have passed on. A lot of the stuff that feeds my soul is coming from, you know, pastors and religious folks, spiritual folks. They just talk to a part of my soul that is open to embrace that. And quite frankly, the results I'm very comfortable with. I like what's going on because I get to travel light on most days. One of the things I need to be careful of is paying attention to this head. Every one of my sponsors have told me be mindful of the narratives in the head because they're awful. I will take something small and make it. I'm like this. I'm an alcoholic. If I have a headache, I believe I have a tumor. I mean, that's just the way I operate. I will trip over my own feet. So it's important for me to stay centered and grounded, not only in the sacred rooms of AA, but in my prayer meditation. If I'm not traveling, you'll find me in church on Sunday. It's that important to me. I can't skip over that. And there's plenty of times, like with the meeting, I'm really tired. I don't feel like going. But as soon as I get there, I'm so grateful I did. There's 3 places on the planet that God has blessed me with through waking up spiritually and shedding the old me. There's 3 places I'm most comfortable with and I feel most safe, and everything makes sense. When I'm in an AA meeting, or even a Zoom meeting, it just makes sense seeing you. I feel safe. I'm better. Everything's okay there. When I'm with my wife, everything makes sense. I feel safe. I'm okay there. And when I walk into church on a Sunday morning for Mass, everything makes sense. I'm safe. I'm okay there. In a very volatile world we live in. I can navigate better. I'm getting my soul food. I look forward to praying in the morning and reading information and studying guys like Merton and Eckhart Tolle. I like that. It feeds my soul. It beats staring at Facebook for 7 hours a day and walking away angry, and I have double vision. I mean, it makes no sense. It does nothing for my soul. So I'm grateful for sponsors. I'm grateful for the men I sponsor. Sometimes they call it the most in time of inconvenience. I'm super tired, or I'm busy with other things, but I will not refuse the phone call because they're doing more for me than I can do for them. So this has been a great journey. I'm so grateful to have been able to be a part of this over the past 6 years. Ali, you've been kind enough to invite me back a number of times and have me up in person. in Toronto, the Fellowship of the Spirit events. And Mary and I have tag teamed this, and while she was speaking, I was listening. And sometimes we've come on just to pay attention to another speaker. I'm grateful that with a few years sober, I will get on a Zoom and listen to someone. I will drive 3 hours to speak, but I will drive 3 hours to listen. It's that important to me. And Mary and I have done the road trips to go hear some folks that we really speak to our soul. The podium is not my home group, even though I do this a lot. My home group is my home group, and my primary purpose, stay sober, help another drunk achieve sobriety. And it makes no sense that God has given a wretch like me some awakening, some insight, some communication skills to help another drunk who can't tie their own shoes like I did when I got here. It makes no sense to my mind. In God's realm, it makes perfect sense because what people normally would not mix. We have a few hundred people on here. Most of us should be calling for bail money to get out of jail right now, or knocking on a door, honey, I'm sorry, let me back in, or just something. Or just drunk. If you're me, you're on the streets drunk. And we're all suited up, and here we are enjoying this life in Alcoholics Anonymous. I get to experience. And it's all because of the Sacred Rooms of AA, the service I get asked to do, and the program I found inside this fellowship. So I have about 5 minutes left, so I'm just going to wrap and say this. I've learned this. It came to me one time in meditation, and maybe another time we can talk more about meditation. But the only thing God wants from me is my soul. And I gave him my soul, and he gives me a life. I've given him my life, and he's given me purpose. And over again, I give him my sinfulness, and he continues to give me forgiveness. I've given him my drunkenness, and he's given me sobriety. And I've given my sobriety, and he gives me the Sacred Rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous. And for this, I'm forever grateful. My name is Peter. I'm an alcoholic. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you, Ali. My name is Ralph White. I'm an alcoholic. And I want to congratulate the group. And I really want to express appreciation to the trusted servants. And Ali, you and Theresa, and your vision, and Alice and the rest of the crew. I'm going to speak your name anyway, Calvin. I think when we keep, I got stuff that's been going on lately that convinces me more than ever that, he just left the container. Calvin's, I know you're here. So I want to thank you. And I want to thank my brother, Peter. Peter and I are sobriety brothers. We have the same sponsor. We run in the same circles. I get invigorated every time I get to spend time with him and Marion, and it's an honor. I was scrolling through the squares, and I want to start calling some names of some people who are very special, but then I wouldn't have time to finish talking, because it's that many of you sitting on here. But know that I see you and I appreciate you. And this business of this meeting, and thank you, Ali, for what could feel intimidating, putting me with Peter, who's my sobriety brother, and Theresa, who's also in my sobriety family, and me and T. T and I were going out talking so often. At one point, people thought we were a couple. And then, we did it 11 stuff. Where's your husband? They're asking Theresa too, like, don't tell Kim, so Theresa and I, that's my group. So I've had close relationships, and, unexpected consequence of joining Alcoholics Anonymous. Cormac, you don't know what you're in for. You don't know exactly the ride you're signing up for. There are some things that I thought I was looking for. And Cormac, I'm just speaking to you as representative of everybody that might be new on here, and I thought I just was signing up for this Just Don't Drink and Use program. And I didn't know that as a result of getting in touch with a power that makes that possible, that same process and that same power would do some other remarkable things for me. I got a couple of minutes and I really I was listening to Peter and, you guys, I don't know if you can chalk it up to just advance in age, not just in recovery, but in life. But I'm coming to some places, and my sponsor, Bob B out of St. Paul, Minnesota, he talks about workshop and ideas. Sometimes they're not really formed, so I don't like sharing where it is I think I'm being taken, because it may not make sense yet. So bear with me. But what I really want to talk about tonight, because when we get in the program, because we got to abandon old ideas. We got to let go of old ideas. Absolutely. Dude, if you come in here trying to bring street into here, it ain't going to fly. Old ideas, keeping secrets. Old ideas, don't tell nobody your business. Old idea, you can't let them disrespect you. Old ideas, you got to check them. Old ideas, you getting soft. They punking you. Old ideas, so just full of old ideas. And in that quest to get rid of these old ideas, most of the time, what most of us who get on this path do is we stay acutely aware of our defects, our shortcomings, our, bondage of self, our selfishness, our self-centeredness. We get acutely aware of that, even though, and Bill, when he was writing, he kind of knew, even though he was new when he was writing, and he couldn't see it, but he knew because he was prone to depression. And so he said, Ralph, when you looking at yourself and you're doing the self-examination, be careful not to go into morbid reflection, right? But we do it anyway. We drift, we do. So what I want to talk about tonight, you guys, particularly for everybody, the 11th step is the 11th step in a 12-step program. So for many people who log on, it feels like, wow, I'm just now doing my third step prayer. Wow, I'm just now writing inventory. Wow, they saying some things that are out there. It's good for, it's kind of like preview of coming attractions, but is it something that is tangible for me? I want to offer something that's of the 11th step, but you don't have to wait till you finish the other 10 steps to get there. It springs from the 11th step. Some of you who I get the opportunity to talk to, Ali is one, will call and we'll have real frank discussions. And there are a couple of lines, and I'm going to discuss those lines. And one of the lines comes from the 11th step, and here's the other thing I want to do with you guys, if you let me. I want to encourage you. If you're getting stale, I want to encourage you. If you're hitting a rough patch, I want to encourage you. If you feel like things are just not going, I want to encourage you. If you're scared about the way of the world right now, I want to encourage you. A lot of times in this pursuit for this spiritual enlightenment, particularly people here who are seekers, we always look at the areas in ourselves which need to be addressed. And so often we forget. As sponsors, some of the time, I've been talking to some people lately, and there's a school of thought. I heard a speaker say one day, if you like your sponsor, you need to get another sponsor. And the school of thought is this, that a person who can express the truth to you has got to be a person that you cannot bond with and cannot be friends with. And I don't have an opinion, but I sponsor a lot of people. And to a person, and some of them are on here, I think if you took a poll of my sponsees, I think all of them would say, yeah, I like spons. I think all of them would say that. Because what I want to put on the table, you guys, particularly people that sponsor, don't break broke people. I don't mean the soapbox, but stop breaking broke people. We don't need to do that with each other. And so now I want to put forth what the 11th step proposition is. And we might all want to think about, can I incorporate this as a way of life? Can I start incorporating this? Can I be a person that is faced with all this stuff in the world and people who hate and people who seem to throw shade at me and people who seem to, for whatever reason, and what I want to match that with is defiance. I want to match that with, no, 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 no. You need to know you really don't want this smoke. Don't bring this way. But can I match that with what it is that we match that with? Can I bring love to the table? Really? Really? Am I a person when I go through life? So what does that look like? That looks like when I see Paula, I would much rather leave her smiling than frowning. Can I put love on the table when I say, what about when Ali calls me and he's uncertain and he's tripping and he's feeling like, damn, Ralph, I don't know. It's really heavy on me. Can I bring hope where it's despair? And the interesting thing about that, because I might be the one that's sad, and I might say to myself, Ralph, can you bring joy where there's sadness? Curiously, I can't seem to muster it up on myself. I can't seem to muster it up on myself. And that is why we have this wonderful thing that's available to us. This thing called sponsorship, this thing called 12 step, this thing called one drunk sharing with another. It appears that something goes on when I get with you that I can't make go on solitary. You know what I'm saying? It appears that I'm not built. I'm built for community. I'm built for, doing some, for his kids. It seems to me. And so I want to encourage. How many people on here have probably said to themselves at some point, I don't feel like I'm enough. I don't think I'm enough. And I would suggest that's because you ain't enough. You've never been intended to be enough. I'm not intended to be a standalone unit. Me in and of myself, I've never been intended to be enough. I'm complete with a power. I'm intended. It's a design feature. It is, but I'm not enough, but I'm complete. I want to suggest to you, if you're tripping right now, if you're going through it, if you feel like life is serving you, if you feel like, damn, how come it always is, I'm going to suggest that you complete. You ain't finished. Think about your 6-year-old grandson. Think about your 7-year-old. They're complete. They're a complete 7-year-old. They're not finished, but they're complete. Wherever you are in your journey, you complete right now. I'm not finished. He ain't finished with me, but I'm complete. The dance in the spiritual world, it is never either or. It's almost always and. And the dance in the spiritual world, you guys, one of the things, I do such a disservice. Because the things that are probably going to serve me the best, I want to discard them. I wanted to put him out the meeting. He ain't sharing the way I want. That's our strength. Our biggest strength in alcohol. You know what I like the most about our fellowship is there's so much stuff I can't stand about it, and I can't do nothing about it. I can't stand him getting up to the podium I can't stand this kind of meeting. Well, don't go. That meeting is full. It's full of people who apparently can. Leslie likes to go to this meeting when she comes here. And they be all over and I'm old and cranky and crotchety, and I want them sitting down. That's likes that mean. But why you like, and I get mad because you like something. Are you serious? And that brings me to the line, you guys. 2 lines. And one of the lines, I got some sponsees on here and they already know what I'm getting ready to talk about. Bright line. This is not a gray line. It's a bright line. When you hit a situation in life, we call it 10th step, you bumping into somebody, 6th and 7th step, maybe bumping. When I hit a situation in life when I'm sideways with somebody, when I'm agitated with somebody, when I'm disturbed about a situation, I always ask myself, Ralph, what side of the line are you on? What's the line, sir? The line comes from our 11th step. Are you trying to be comforted, or are you seeking the comfort? Are you trying to understand, or are you trying to be understood? That's the one for me. Usually, they need to know, how come they don't see? I would never do it like that. Why, dude? That ain't got nothing to do with are you seeking to understand, or are you seeking to be understood? Are you trying to love, or are you trying to be loved? Bright line, you guys. It is the bright line. Ralph, what side of the line are you on? And for anybody on here right now, I can start practicing that as a way of life. Just practicing it prior to the fact where I'm going to get into all of what Peter described as the disciplines of 10 and 11. Mark used to call them that. And as a guy that rankle, there are certain phrases that no, I rebel against them. When you say that to me, that sounds too much like work. That sounds too much, so what? Did you rebel against them? Other people like it, and so that's the beauty. That's the dance. And here's another line that I'm going to suggest, not from the 11th step, but it's a line many of us lose, and that's your baseline. That's your baseline. Ali is nodding. Me and him had a conversation not too long ago. And he was talking about some stuff he was going through in his life. And I don't mean to put Ali on blast, but he's sitting there, so I'm going to. It's like sitting in the front row at a comedy store. At a comedy show, don't do that. Don't do that, because you just setting yourself up. Ali's sitting here with he right in my face. So that's what you get. You get the smoke, Ali. So Ali was talking to me, and we were going through it, and he was talking about Ralph this and that. I said, Ali, you lost your baseline. You lost your baseline. See, when I get sad, you guys, or when I get sideways, or when I start tripping about my money, right? It's because in about 2004, 2006, I'm rolling. I'm not worried about check to check. I'm closing deals. I'm doing stuff, I'm rolling. And then I hit 2010 and I go broke, and I'm sleeping in my buddy's house, and I go 3 years without a deal. And I say, God, what part of the game is this? And I start going, God, because I talk to God like I talk to y'all. Jimmy's on here. I'll talk to God like that. God, this is some bullshit. What is, what, because I don't, it allows me to come as I am. It allows me conversation. It allows me all access pass. I don't have to come and you over it. Nah. And so I'll be saying, but really what came to me, Ralph, you lost your baseline. Your baseline is not 2006. Your baseline is October 11th, 1986. That's your baseline. Your baseline is having not answered anybody's 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock wake up call to go to work. Your baseline is no registration, no license, no insurance, and no car. So none of that. Your baseline is home. Your baseline is walking the aimless walk. That's your baseline. Everything else has been gravy. And since I've signed on the dotted line in Alcoholics Anonymous, and since I put my hand in the hand of this power, it's been gravy. I want to suggest to you, don't lose your baseline. Don't lose. Somebody in here is tripping. Somebody in here is going through it. I've had a couple of questions for you. Have you been broke before? Yeah. Have you been heartbroken before? Yeah. Have you been asked out of a relationship before? Yeah. Have you been sad, or have you been despondent, or have you wanted to quit before? Yeah. So all these things have already come my way. My friend Tommy says we're working with an unfair advantage. And sometimes I forget that. I lose the advantage. I got an unfair advantage. I got somewhere to go when it comes at me. I got somewhere to go. Right. And I got an unfair advantage. I got a daughter that called me today from London, and she's here on this planet as a result of me coming to you. Think about that. How many of you guys have had kids or grandkids since you've been sober? How many of you have realized, you probably don't realize, if it wasn't for Alcoholics Anonymous, whoever that kid, they wouldn't even be on this planet. Have you thought about that? How many of you had to take care of your parents in sobriety? Walk them home, clean their, change their diapers, hold their hands. And you thought you were just coming here for you. Oh my God. So this business, you guys, of this staying on the right side of the line, that's all I want to leave you with before I get up out of here. It's a simple, this 11 step me, it's a powerful form, but most of the time it feel like it's for an advanced degree. But for those of you who are coming, and for those of you with advanced degrees, sometimes I just need to go back to basics. You can start practicing this aspect of it, particularly if you haven't got here yet. Just start practicing. Get ready. I am so grateful, Ali, that you asked me to come here and share this, these particular minutes with two of my favorite people. And more than that, you asked me to come and share with 350 plus of my very favorite people. I ain't gonna get to call all y'all by name, but you know who you are. My name is Ralph White. I am an alcoholic.
Time. When I start it. There we go. Hi, everyone. Theresa, alcoholic. Hey. Oh, my. Look at all the peoples. Hi, everybody. So good to see you, and more importantly, for you to see me. Normally, they have my avatar up on my picture. I was saying when I go out to meetings, when I go to physical meetings or conferences, I keep telling Kim this, and I have it. I want to walk around with like a cardboard or something of a box of a square so everybody can recognize me. Oh man, I'm so full. I am full. What an honor and a privilege it has been. Um, mm, it has been a journey for 6 years, y'all. Thank you, Ali. I told him for always being inspired. I mean, that's what happens, right? We get inspired and moved to find ways to carry the message and be instrumental on this path, on this journey. And we all get to trudge and do it together and experience it with one another. And so it's been good. Certainly, I know when he did call, I was like, oh, Lord, okay. I always say, okay, let's do it. And go into my own prayer meditation and see what comes up. And you never know. I say there's times I think I'm talking to a burning bush, but I'm not sure. It's good to run it past somebody else. But yeah, I just wanted to acknowledge how much I appreciate each and every one of you for showing up every week. I want to thank all the speakers that we've had who have come and shared their heart, their intimate moments with God, because that's really what happens here on Step 11, is that this platform is the one that you get to talk about those intimate, personal connections with your higher power and give us a front row seat, right? So we're almost eavesdropping, and then take bits and pieces, those nuggets, and apply them to our life. I witnessed that being here all these years. It was so exciting to see light bulbs go on, or people be like, I never tried that before, or, oh my gosh, I never thought about that. And that's part of seeking, yes. I listen to others. We come in the rooms and we hear people share about their understanding of God and relationship. And not insisting that I have to do it, but this is my experience. Remember how many people started doing the two-way prayer when Katie talked about it and Polly talked about it, because I got messages going, what was that two-way prayer again? Where do I get that? Or methods of meditation. I tried that and this happened for me. And so just reflecting on the journey that not only I've been, but it saved my life, and I watched it save so many others. Yeah, and listening to those who've had commitments and service and how it made a difference in their life, and Kuna and everybody, right? Calvin, I'm thinking of these folks that was showing up and that's how they stayed sober. I know that's how I stay sober. the pandemic, I'm taking care of my mom, and I was in here with mommy, and mommy would sit and listen or scream, and it kept me sane, and it kept me sober, kept me busy. I just had a birthday, everybody. July 29th on Sunday, 1990, 36 years. By the grace of a loving God. Who would have thought? My favorite people, Peter and Ralph. I'm intimidated, of course, as usual. A lot of times when I have spoken with Ralph, usually when he gets ready to turn it over to me, I forget I'm participating. You know what I mean? I'm usually like still digesting and then on. I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to talk now? I always joke, used to tell him, I'm like, I thought I knew that step. But now that you got done, I'm not sure. And he'd be like, oh, come on. Step 11. I was saying this is the one step that we do get to talk about other literature and religious practices. And right, we've had the drunk monk, right? We've had Sister B. She didn't let us record her. I think about we have clergy. We have clergy. I'm clergy. I'm a priest. My cousin's a priest. We have clergy. And if it was a matter of not knowing that there's, if it was just a matter of not knowing there wasn't a God, why would those people who are priests and men of cloth or be here? Alcoholism affects all of us. I always think about that, how nuns, they ask them, do a third step prayer. Could you imagine? Do the third step. They're like, do you see my outfit and where I live? Like, I'm married to Jesus, for goodness sake, right? Do a third step prayer. 11 step. How many of them in the convent are constantly praying and meditating? I love all of that. Just as an FYI, I've been, a lot of times I ask these questions and the answer comes some kind of way. And I know that I've been saying, if I can get one question, just one question that I can ask God, and it's not like I can't take that question to meditation, but I want to have a direct conversation with God, and I want to ask God, do you regret making man? Because man seems to be the bane of your existence. Oh, I've been holding on to that question. Leave it up to the mouths of babes. I have a sponsee I was sharing out there in Covina. I don't know if it was yesterday. Yeah, must have been. Whatever. I'm sharing in Covina, whatever, Sunday. And she says, do you know that there's an app that you can call Jesus directly? Oh, my God. She said, there's an app that you can call Jesus. If anybody wants to talk to Jesus, there's an app. And of course, I was like, okay, well, let's call Jesus. So we called Jesus. She said, you can ask Jesus anything. And I said, at first I was trying to think of a bunch of other stuff, and I went, I want to know if God regrets making man. I was telling Nina this. He said yes. He said, yes. God regrets making man, but the word regret is not the same for God as for us. And he quoted all this scripture that relates to that and supports that knowing. Of course, it's AI. And then I come home excited and I tell Kim, I got the answer about God regretting making man. And she was like, it's in the Bible. So all this time I've been perplexed with this question, and it was already written in biblical text. I'm always a little late to the game. But it's in the seeking, right? In the excitement of asking that question and the wonder of it all. And so if there's anything I want to really talk about this journey that we've been on, is that we also get to hear about practices and ways in which to do, and the whys and the how. What happens? Where does 11 take us? It takes us, I think Ralph he touched on it. It takes us to being of service, to helping others in our homes and in the rooms, in our community, and we do the best we can. If it wasn't for these steps, I don't know where I would be, to be a daughter or a sister or a friend or a neighbor. Do I do it perfectly? No, but I do it. Do I always pause when agitated? No. But I have the awareness to even notice that I didn't. Do I always sit in this discipline of sitting and meditating and talking to God? Not necessarily. But I have the awareness that I haven't. And then I can do it at any time. Remember somebody saying, I haven't been to meetings in a long time, and they were really concerned. And, I just haven't been to meetings. And I'm like, the beautiful thing is you could just start going to meetings. I mean, it's like, what a concept. Like, the fact that you're aware, you know what you do? Go to a meeting. So I know a lot of practices in step 11. We've heard so many here. What does it do for us? If it wasn't for all the 12 steps, I don't know where I would be. My life has been real interesting, and I'm 60, I'll be 61 in July, not just in the last 36 years, in 60 plus years, my life has been quite interesting. Alcohol was my higher power, and when it stopped working, I get lifted up and brought into these rooms. And you give me some other tools designed for living, because I think the moment of conception or the moment of coming into this world has been very clear to me that I cannot live in this world without something. I'm not under the delusion. I can manage life well on my own. I couldn't do it before I got to you, and I haven't been able to do it since I've been here. Before I came to you, I couldn't manage life without alcohol. And when that higher power stopped functioning and working, whether it was delusional or not, or causing harm or not, it allowed me to navigate through life. And then now I'm here, and you go, there's a power that lies inside of you. And I'm going to need this power, because there's no way I can continue to live my life without another power. And I've been through a lot in many years, through these years. And all the things that happened to me is way beyond my pay grade. There isn't any, my sponsees see it, and people around me, or Ralph, I jokingly say, it's something when you call your sponsor and they got to do an inventory after I read mine. My sponsor be like, man, you be going through it. You never get a break. And my sponsees, but what it's done, it has in some way forced me into 10 and 11, because I can't do it on my own. It's forced me into these rooms. I say it's forced because so much is going on, whether it's in the world or in my life. And I always go, I don't know what to do about any of this, but I become empowered when I go, what can I do? What can I do about everything that's happening? Everything is wrong, or what I think is wrong, or nothing is right, or the world's coming to an end. I have to do something. I have to do something. What can I do? Oh, you know what I can do? I could treat my alcoholism. And that's so empowering. You know what I can do? I can tap into a source of power that will give me the answers in the places where I don't have answers. I think that's so cool, y'all. You have no idea. That's what I can do. Well, how do I do it? Well, I use those steps. It sounds juvenile, I guess, if the word is, but that's what it is for me. I could do those steps. That's what I can do. And if I do those steps, that's what you told me. The answers come if your house is in order. So, Theresa, get your house in order. How do I get there? Use these steps. Clean house, trusting God. Be of service. I like how Peter says, what he says, it's like, I think of wash, rinse, repeat, right? Chop wood, carry water. It's like all the simplicity of just do it. I heard someone I do respect and admire, he was just talking. I was like, how are you doing? That was the other day. How are you doing? He's like, oh, I'm just experiencing spiritual depression. What was that again? Spiritual depression. Am I going through that? That's how we learn around here. Like that, hearing that, I was like, maybe that's what's happening to me. I'm going to meditate on that. I'm going to take that into my meditation and see if there's some clarity on that for me. That's what we do around here. I sit in the meetings and I listen to you and I go, what does that mean? I'm going to take that into my meditation and see if more answers will come. My meditation I'm looking for silence. I think the scariest time for me is when I can't hear spirit. I told that to an old timer not too long ago. I said, I'm worried because I can't hear spirit. I've come to rely on intuition. I've come to depend on intuition. I get emotional. That is the safest thing that I have, is this intuitive thought that it comes from within, because I'm very influenced by outside noise, y'all. I'm so influenced by what people think, what people say, the jargon, the narratives. It's not even in my head. It's whatever comes to me. I'm influenced by that. I'm like, it's still something that I have. I was born. You don't see what you see. You don't hear what you hear. Don't believe in yourself. And so I turn to other things and I get distracted. And so where I know the answer, the truth is, it comes within me. And even though God speaks through people and I hear it through the things that you say, I come back within and I come inside. I go inside. But this whole program is about the inside out. And when I don't hear anything, I remember after my brother and my father died, it was so hard to meditate because I would go in and it was so dark and I was scared. It's like, it can't be dark inside of me. If it's dark inside of me, where will I go? What would I do? Be still. Be still. Be still. This woman told me, you ever seen a seed? A flower begins as a seed and you're like the seed. And the seed is in the ground, in the dirt, and it's dark. But something is happening in the dark. This is the journey of it. I'm in a seed. I'm in the dark. Okay. Hold on to that. And eventually, slowly but surely, it'll sprout. And I'll see the sun. There's something that Ralph was talking about, the 11-step prayer. I always say my dad and my grandmother, I believe, lived that. And that's a spiritual maturity. St. Francis himself didn't even write that prayer, and couldn't live up to it. It was something for us to strive for. But I was, scrolling through some stuff and I shared it with my sponsees. This actress, I mess up names, but Viola Davis, but she said that it hit me really hard. She said the definition of hell, because sometimes I think about hell, the definition of hell is on your last day on earth, the person you became meets the person that you could have become. What? What? See, it's stuff like that gets me. I was like, what? See, I gotta meditate on that. I was like, what she say? I don't even know that lady. She was taking an award. What? And then I start contemplating on that. The person that I became is not the person that I could have become. What would keep me from becoming the person I need to become? Whatever stands in the way of my usefulness to God and His children. And it's gonna happen. If there's anything that I received, for me, more important, other than sobriety, is the gift of awareness, is the ability to be flawed and defective, to make mistakes, to not get it right all the time, to not have all the answers. I think the longer I stay sober, the less I know. The older I get, the less I know. The more education I receive, the less I know. That's why I jokingly say, I tell that to my professors, I have more questions than I do statements. I've been hit hard by a lot of things, and so many people have valleys and they come out of it. It seems like I stay in the valley, and I can get jealous and fall into these places of disappointment and disheartened. And I do go to God and I say, I'm going to hand in my resignation letter, and you're going to lose your most trusted servant here on earth if you don't do something immediately for me. Now, people will call that arrogant and unfair, and how are you going to tell God that? Because I can, because I have a God that loves me unconditionally, and He lets me have a temper tantrum, and He doesn't say you're a horrible person for doing that. He just lets me do it, and He knows I'll come around. And then I'll be like, oh, okay, I was only kidding. And He goes, I know. So this business of meditation is so personal and intimate. I help people develop spiritually in their life as my work as a priest. And what I appreciate is that I just take them on this organic journey to allow them to explore, to expand. I invite to listen to others, try different things. Because just like my professors told me that when it's all said and done, we don't really know. So instead of trying to find out if there really is one, pick something and live your life to the fullest according to that in which you understand. And you always have a right to change your mind. That's what I love about this. I can always go, that's not working. My cousin would always say that to me. Well, Nena, it sounds to me that it's time for you to get another higher power. And this meeting allows us to explore that and to implement that. And Peter mentioned it. What am I like when I'm not around you? I'll end with this. You guys, I think I'm some way. I believe I'm this person. But then I hear from people that I'm not. That I'm not the person that I think I am. And that still confuses me a little bit. But I get to take that to my God and ask my God to show me and guide me the truth about that. And so today in my meditation and prayer, I've been asking God about pride. Show me about my pride, because lately I've been really worried about what you think about me. And that's uncomfortable and it's awkward and it creates anxiety. And it doesn't allow me to be authentic because I'm not sure if I'm myself, if I will be liked and accepted. And again, through the meditation, answers come in different ways. And recently I had a friend, I share, very transparent, and he's not even in the program. And he said to me, it's possible that all of your family members have died. I have buried everybody. And perhaps you didn't need other people. You didn't care about what other people thought about you because you knew what they thought about you. But now that they're gone, you need other people. I'll take that under advisement. And where I take it under advisement is prayer and meditation. And the answers will come if my house is in order. We alcoholics are undisciplined. My time is about up. We alcoholics are undisciplined. So we let God discipline us in the simple way we've outlined. You say we will suddenly realize that God is doing for us what we could not do for us. We have now entered the world of spirit, safe and protected. Drinking is no longer a problem. We will go out into this world and be useful. What a journey. I appreciate y'all so much. Sometimes I'm not good at explaining it. I'm not a mushy person. I'm not. I had a sponsee that told me he thinks I'm more like a guy. I think that's a biased opinion. But I don't have words to describe what you have done for me. And not because I've taken or gotten anything. You've done stuff for me because I've watched, I've witnessed what it's done for you. And that just opens me up to excitement and love when I watch what it does for you. I want to thank y'all for showing up, and I want to encourage you and Alice. Yes, she's been working hard, and Pat and John and Michelle, and we all been working so hard, not only to keep it going and I'll leave this long, but to keep it going afterwards. So the person who said they were new and concerned, girl, you came just on time, and we have some commitments that you can join in. So make sure that you stay here with us. So we'll be here again next Tuesday, same time, same bat channel. And we're going to continue to learn and grow with one another. Thank you so much for allowing me to serve in any way that I can. Thank you.